behind you, there is a VHS player and a CRT TV. Do you feel like we owe it to ourselves to buy the Scorpion King on VHS and watch it on that TV?
Yes.
There it is.
This is a podcast. The podcast is called The Sting of Time. We have now entered the final 10.
Would you say this? Would that be more appropriately called, the top 10 or the bottom 10?
I think linguistically you would call it the bottom 10 because you're talking about the end of something. In baseball they say the bottom inning. I think that's the last one. Maybe that's the first. I think the bottom inning is the last one.
I trust you implicitly. No matter what you say, I will just say.
I only know about baseball lingo from Buck 65 songs. So
we watched the Scorpion King.
Yes.
And we watched it in a most classical and nostalgic format.
Yes, people will already know that we have watched it in VHS before we get into this, because I will have cut in before the intro Emil telling us to do it. So that's sort of the.
So I don't really.
No, you don't need to tell them. No, they already know. We watched it on VHS. I bought a copy of the Scorpion King on VHS for. I'm gonna let the internet do the math on this, and I'll make it into American money because everyone likes American money. I bought it for $2.50 American. $2.50. And it was a new copy, a completely new copy, never watched before.
Yes, never watched, and most likely never watched again. So
maybe.
Well, you never know, I guess, because
I could always watch it on VHS, for example, when we do watchings. I could just have to time it.
That's very true. Well, in that sense, that changes my follow-up question, because I was going to ask, do you think that your investment of, what did you say it was, $2.50?
$2.50.
Yeah, has that investment paid off, or do you feel it's going to pay off if it hasn't yet?
I think it was worth $2.50 because, well, if we weren't doing this project, I would say it was not worth $2.50 because then I would have just bought any other VHS movie for $2.50. But the fact is that I had to watch Scorpion King. We're recording this on a Monday. We watched it yesterday.
Yes.
So this is going to be uploaded on technically the wrong week, but we did it last week.
Yeah.
We were gonna have to watch the Scorpion King last week anyway. So this was a marked improvement over watching it the normal way we do it. Immensely so. Partially because of the format. I'm going to say it was, to me, pretty funny that the VHS tape, being brand new, still had hella artifacting.
Yes.
It looked, video quality wise, it looked like shit, and it had rips on the screen now and then.
We were a bit, at points we were a bit worried that, like, is this going to make it all the way through when it started ripping for a bit.
But VHS is definitely not a forever format. Even if you don't run the tapes, they degrade, so it kind of makes sense. But that one has sat in, a plastic casing for 20 odd years. And to some degree, I think it feels pretty good that it actually got watched and didn't just, sit somewhere forever.
Yeah. It's it's a bit like it's gonna be a very strange metaphor. Uh, it's a bit like how let's say you cook food, and it's food that has a lot of parts in it. Like you make, let's say, you make rice and vegetables.
Okay.
Like fried rice and vegetables.
Yep.
And then you eat the fried rice and vegetables, but there's a little bit left in the pan, but it's not enough to eat. Like this is on the level of you just wash this away when you do the
Mm.
dishes. And whenever I do this, I always feel a bit like, damn, this vegetable didn't make it all the way. It was grown in a field somewhere and then processed and then blah 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 turned into a meal, but then it suffered the dishwashing fate in the
Mm.
end.
I would
This
argue that to me, that vegetable, that part of the vegetable, is a natural part of the process of eating food. To me, I don't feel anything about that. There is no
Well,
um,
I wouldn't really say that I. It's not like I feel bad about it or
no, no,
something
no.
like that.
I'm just saying you're making this analogy, and to
Mm.
me they don't match. You're free to feel that way about it, but
Thank you very much.
but to me it's more like collectors of things that are meant to be used, and then the items never see use.
Mm.
If one were to believe in the soul of the item, people call their computer, they give their computer a name or something. uh things things were made for a purpose. The movie, the VHS tape of the Scorpion King, was meant to be watched. It's a movie. If it isn't watched, it isn't anything.
Yeah, I feel like I'll say this. Number one, now I'm just thinking about what would it be like to collect vegetables, but I shall dispel that thought. That thought has been banished now. Number two, uh, I know that both you and me watched Red Letter Media's video
Yeah.
on the whatever it was called. You know
Yes.
what I'm talking about.
Yes, the
On
Nuki tape
yeah,
video and
exactly.
the sort of VHS speculation market.
Yes.
And I
So
forget, I think you had started watching it, and then I watched it and said, this, I don't know if you watch a lot of Red Letter Media, but you have to watch this. And then you said, oh, I'd started it, but now I wouldn't finish, something like that.
mm,
Because we had sort of both decided that it was a worthwhile click.
yes. Well, I don't remember all those details, but I did watch it. Uh, so bringing this sort of discussion to air right now feels pretty topical. It feels fresh, is what I meant.
Mm,
Thinking about this kind of collector and VHS tape thing, so I can relate it in more manner than simply one.
mm,
Uh, moving on, I was gonna say that another important aspect of the watch, aside from the VHS tape, was was the fact that it had official Swedish subtitles.
yeah, I would say that I would rank that in terms of importance, perhaps not going into, or no, I should say even going into it beforehand,
Mm,
because I scouted the fact that this had official Swedish text. Um, was huge.
yes.
It ranks so much higher than the idea of just watching it in VHS format. To me, we have watched it with a Swedish dub
Mm,
before,
yes. And
not an official one.
no, a AI generated
Yes.
or whatever. And
While that one was funny, I
yes,
will say that this one was on another through the stratosphere in
yes.
terms of
and
ranking.
and
It
I
was
and I
way
think that
funnier.
I think that uh, because we weren't really keenly in tune at the beginning, at least I wasn't, with the fact that oh, this is gonna have Swedish subtitles, because we saw the Swedish subtitles, and it's like, oh yeah, it has Swedish subtitles,
Oh no,
and we talked.
I was
Yeah, but
laser focused.
I mean, well, whatever. What I mean is that we talked about stuff like, the nostalgia factor, because it's like Swedish subtitles, like when you watched movies as a kid, or like that sort of thing.
Mm.
But I think I'll say I instead, as not to upset you, that I was not, ready for the particularities of the Swedish language of yore that appeared.
Mm.
It's like the famous Takmet lines, and I'm not sure if we should
No, I
elaborate
think it's
too much.
impossible to directly
Yeah,
relate,
exactly.
but um, I'll say that the shout out to Sara Svensson, who has
Sara
the
Svensson.
absolute most generic Swedish name possible. We thought about, oh, we'll wait until the credits and see who did this, and maybe we can possibly contact them in
Mm,
some way. But it is fucking impossible. It's
yes.
like she was called John Smith.
Yeah. I guess we can just leave it at, Sara Svensson, wherever you are, in the
Wherever
current
you are.
in the current day, know that you did a banger job on the Scorpion King subtitles.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it was insanely. I'm gonna call it incongruous. It's almost it's almost artistic in its word usage,
Mm,
because, as you say, parts of it were. I'm not gonna say it was old timey language. I'm
no,
gonna say it was written as if to feel like it was old timey
exactly.
language, but then now and then it was just I don't know, sort of very day to day ish, and also sort of dialecty.
Mm.
I don't know how to describe it.
Well, I think I said, or maybe I just thought it during the watch, but how, uh, like, or actually, when I reflect upon it a bit now, it felt a lot like, much. It was extremely in tune with like the mood and the writing of the movie, so to say, because in the movie they do a similar thing, like, I mean, in the dialogue, a similar thing in English, where it's like, uh, for one moment it can be like, ah, but he escaped your grasp. I
Mm,
speak in a slightly, like it sort of emulates some kind of, theater,
yeah,
like the, and then you have Dwayne saying "not in war," or like like Dwayne be saying stupid
yeah.
wrestling stuff or whatever. So it like shifts, and I felt like that was reflected in the Swedish subtitles, because uh, at some parts it's like the Swede, just on the border of being the Swedish equivalent of like Shakespearean thou, die, kind of stuff, but it doesn't go quite that
Mm.
far. But it
No,
lingers like on the
because
border.
it's I would say because Swedish, if you were to make actual old timey
Mm,
Swedish subtitles, in thou thy,
yeah,
it would be really fucked up Swedish from like the
yes,
1600s, and nobody does that ever. It's more like, oh, this is how people actually talked in 1901.
yeah,
That's
but
sort of how they
it wouldn't, it
emulate
wouldn't
it.
emulate or like some kind of mood or
No, you
something
couldn't
like that.
really do it. I think this is how you do it, and actually
Mm,
have it be readable as well. Sort of have to remember that uh, for anyone who's not Swedish who's watching this, which is, I believe, out of the four people that watch, maybe one of you
mm,
isn't. Uh, modern, the modern world in general, but Sweden specifically, has a somewhat insane level of uh, pretty much native English speaking levels, I
yeah,
would say. In general, people are really good at the English language and have been for quite some time. But the, an adult, let's say this movie is made for 28 to 33-year-olds. back in the day, I think. And kids, I guess,
Mm.
but we're taking them out of the equation here. So let's like say that adult market who are buying lots of movies. Maybe we'll go a little bit down either end of that spectrum, but in 2001, 2002, people definitely did not have, in general, the same amount
No,
of English.
assuredly not.
So you also have to consider the fact that the texts were made to actually make the movie more understandable as
Yes,
well. It's not just made for you and me
made for
to,
us to laugh at.
yeah.
So
I almost want to say we laughed with the
yes,
texts because
yeah,
it
yeah.
also
I
felt
felt a bit
like the,
bad saying that, right?
yeah.
Because if Sarah Svensson's watching, we did not like. I want to clarify, we did not laugh at the subtitles like they were bad or did it. We laughed with them because we thought they
Well,
were really good.
I'm gonna say that if I had not watched The Scorpion King before, which is a very forlorn concept
Mm.
to consider, but if I had not done that, and I didn't immensely hate it as much as I do now, then I think I would find lots of parts of the subs to be because the subs were a lot sillier than the movie.
Yeah,
But the fact that they were that, and the fact that I fucking hate the Scorpion King so much, means that the silly parts feel like Sara Svensson is making fun of the Scorpion King,
yes.
which is a vibe I can really get behind.
Yeah, we felt like there was some kind of like ghost of Christmas past or whatever with us in the room watching. It was a bit like a kindred spirit who
Yes.
understood this on a level that nobody else aside from us can, because we
It is
brought.
interesting to consider how many times did she watch it?
Yeah. We kind of brought that. Well, not specifically that, but a similar thing to that was brought up during the watch. How I said something like this is like another person who has watched this movie with an analytical
Yeah.
mind, in the purpose of how should this how does this ring or whatever,
Mm.
how does this work, and so on. And it felt very there was a sort of bond, I
Yeah.
felt.
Then again, it is highly possible that she watched the movie once and then she had a transcript,
Mm.
or she didn't even watch it. Maybe she just had a transcript and some notes. That's like, oh well, at some point you have to change sorcerer to sorceress. You know.
Yeah, well, transcript or no, watch or no, I enjoyed the subtitles.
Yes. The movie also being a VHS came with a pre-roll ads
Mm.
for other movies, and afterwards also. I'm gonna say all of them were fucking shit. They were terrible trailers. They were
Yeah,
too long. They were for
they
movies
were
that I
insanely
definitely,
long.
yeah,
Like
like
there
three
there there were.
minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And
The
I'm gonna say this because I said it when we watched it, we saw like 3 minutes of cut up scenes from the movie. Is it
About the
called
boy.
About a Boy? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
I think pretty sure.
uh, yeah, About a Boy with Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant.
Um, so like 3 minutes of that, and I have no fucking clue what the movie is about.
Yeah,
I don't
because
understand how you get like nowadays you get like a
exactly. I was the
two
same.
minute or like 1 minute 20 spot of a Marvel movie, and you've seen the entire movie. You get 3 whole fucking minutes of About a Boy, and I don't know anything. I know at one
I
point,
don't know anything about the boy.
yeah,
Who's the boy? But yeah, that was. We also saw a Back to the Future ad,
yes, for
and
all three movies.
yes, exactly. Had a bit of a debate about VHS versus DVD versus something that I don't quite remember
What?
exactly. And after the movie, we saw an ad for ET.
Back to the Future was also after the movie.
Was it?
Yes.
Well, I don't
E.T. was
remember.
first, and then I skipped E.T. because it was so fucking boring. And we got to Back to the Future, which I think was the last ad, because Back to the Future was the only ad that was for like a new DVD release. They
Yeah.
all the others were VHS cuts.
Well, aside from that, it was a bit interesting watching the movie in proper 4:3 aspect ratio as well,
Yes.
because we
Well, it
have
wasn't.
watched it in
I
an
don't know if.
artificial 4:3, but
Yeah,
I
but it's
don't know
kind
what
of
that
interesting
means.
because
But
I think we watched it. I think you technically watched it in the same thing because I thought because okay, so there are several cuts of the movie, right?
mm,
There are several, or cuts of aspect ratios, I guess. So there is, uh, there is the theatrical cut, which is wide as fuck. That's a 21:9 aspect ratio,
yeah,
which is why when you put it on a 69 screen, you get black bars, even if it doesn't have black bars. We have never seen that cut of the movie
mm,
because I don't think it exists unless the Blu-ray has it, but I don't think it has it either.
we
So
can
there's
investigate.
yeah, there's a 21:9 cut of the movie which we haven't seen, I think. And then there's the DVD release, which was the first one we watched before we switched to the Blu-ray,
Mm,
which is a it's sort of weird. It's a widescreen cut of the movie, but they put black bars on a 16:9 cut of the movie. So there's less screen. It's just they put black bars on an already 16:9 by 9 cut of the movie, which is fucking weird. So like in the super famous part of the movie where Memnon throws the meat to the lions, and then you cut back and he's still holding the meat. You can't see that in the DVD cut.
yeah,
And then there's the Blu-ray, which we watch on on the PC, which is the full 16 by 9. It's not the theatrical, but it's 16 by 9, no black bars, which is how we've seen the movie maybe 30 plus times. And then there's this, which was a 4 by 3, which was a cropped version of the 16 by 9.
mm.
So yeah, it's weird.
I was thinking a bit regarding the aspect ratio, how, and I think I mentioned a little bit about this during the watch, how because we were focusing on that when we got to when it got to the "you think I'm cruel, don't you?"
Yeah,
throwing the meat. We were watching for will we see the meat or not,
yeah,
and it was kind of funny because we couldn't see it because of the subtitles.
yeah.
But
Well, we could see that it
exactly,
was there, but
it was there. Uh, and then we later on were on the lookout for the light reflector thing
yeah,
that you can see in the
yeah.
Balthazar
We discussed
scene.
in detail on the Proxicon episode.
Exactly. So we were on the lookout for that, but that you could not see in this aspect
No,
ratio. It was off
that
screen.
was cut.
So it's interesting that maybe the VHS version of the movie with Swedish subtitles
The most
to
immersive.
obscure the meat, yeah, is the most non like goofs, like non goofy version
Mm.
of the movie. So if you want to be truly immersed in the universe and of the Scorpion King and not be taken out of it by continuity errors or visible crew equipment, definitely watch it on VHS. But when I say definitely watch, but you should definitely not watch it as well.
One thing that's interesting to consider about the theatrical cut, which is going to be a bit wider, is how, because they didn't cut the reflector from any version of the movie.
Mm.
That is in.
Yeah, and I feel like it
How
could
fucking visible is that in the theatrical cut?
exactly, and I feel and it's like it feels a bit weird to say this because we didn't notice the reflector for so
No.
many watches, but it's really something that if you noticed it, it would be extremely easy to cut out
Yeah.
because it's like not it's not like at an important part or whatever. It's just
No,
like residual, or so to say.
exactly. And you lose like a second of movie.
Yeah, yeah,
It's very weird.
it is very weird. It's
Um,
almost as weird as watching a movie 52 times.
yeah, we've seen the movie 43 times at this point. We're doing another this week, of course. We're technically gonna be recording two stings this week, but we only gonna watch it once this week. Um, but we're super clearly counting down.
Yes.
After we watch it this week, it'll be 8 left.
Mm.
That's nothing. Where there's nothing left.
I basically feel like it's already over,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you. I was gonna say I'll tell you a little secret, but it's not a secret. But I
Let me tell you
actually
a little secret about
I
the
went
Scorpion
back
King.
and I didn't watch them, but like jumped through a bit of the very earliest episodes, like the first four
Mm.
episodes of Sting, and because I wanted to kind of get a grasp of past Oscar, what he thought about a lot of things. Didn't really grasp anything. I don't understand that guy too well, but it was funny because I remember, like, I think in the third episode or something, I, like, in passing just say something like, "Yeah, this is our third watch, already feeling like it's gone so long, like whatever, like that sort of thing, like the extreme, like Scorpion King virgin or something, like
Yeah.
you don't even know, like that sort of thing." And I'm watching it, and it's really, but I felt so powerful, I felt like how, like, if you how do I describe it, like going back to the neighborhood where you grew up when you're an adult after having moved away for like 20 years, and you go back and you're like, truly this was a small place, or whatever. I don't know where
Yeah.
that was going,
No, I
but
get it. I get it. I think it's interesting because we've talked about, or at least I have talked about this, in that I find it so interesting in terms of this whole experience.
mm,
In that, I don't know, like, as you say, you mentioned it, watch fucking 3. That's nothing. That's
yeah,
literally nothing. Uh, we- it's so weird because watching a movie 3 times in a row is super weird in itself. That's already a pretty
mm,
weird thing. People don't do that. And looking back at it, every single time we've finished watching the movie, post like the second, third, maybe like fourth time, something like that. I think maybe like episode 5 or something, I had the sorceress theory. I think that's when that
yeah,
crops up. At that point, I can clearly remember that I feel like I know this movie a lot, like and that sort of continues, and that you, in some ways, like after watching the movie, the in the current time space I occupy,
mm,
I always sort of feel like I know the movie as well as I do. But then when I look back, I obviously don't.
yeah,
So there
because we have,
isn't sort of a knowledge leap in, it's not like you gain something or,
yeah, it's like we've discovered so much yet learned so little, or something. Maybe the other
mm,
way around. We've learned so much about the movie, but gained so little.
I don't know, maybe. I just think it's such a weird, uh, like, it's a weird thing to do and to experience as a human being in itself. It's weird. But then, like, from a societal perspective, it is also really weird. Lots of things are weird on a societal experience, but not necessarily actually weird. Like going outside naked is societally very weird, and it would be weird because of the expectation people put on it. But I don't necessarily think being naked outside is a weird experience. Outside of its context. Watching the same movie 52 times in a row is weird, I think, to do. even if nobody thought it was weird.
Mm.
Which is why I think it's very hard to like accurately have some sort of like to gauge the timeline of it or to know how to feel.
Yeah, like a thing we don't, or we've brought it up a few times, but we don't have a lot of like, what do you call it? Like, we don't really have a baseline for this kind of thing.
No.
We're treading new ground because I genuinely do not know. Like, I don't think, and like, never mind the Scorpion King. Even though I mean, we're obviously pioneers in the Scorpion King now, but I mean, has someone done anything like this
Mm.
ever?
Do you want me to spoil something for you?
Sure.
I have found out that there is someone who has done that exact thing before.
Mm.
And they've also turned it into a podcast.
Mm.
And they did it way before us. Because I
Well,
talked to a person I know and they said, "Oh, like this thing?" And I went, "What?"
what? How do you
Like,
feel about that?
I think if I heard about it like watch 4 or something, I would have been pissed. But this was like watch 37 or something. So if anything, I feel like it gave me something in that I feel like at some point in life, maybe I will be able to reach out to this person. Like if I meet this person who has done this, I don't know who they are. I don't even remember what the podcast is called. But if I meet this person, then we will be an elite select few who share something.
That will happen if I meet that person also.
Yes, it would.
Very, very interesting. I don't know. Do you have anything else? And any
No,
other
we have
additions?
we have further scheduling to think about. At some point, we will have to do the IKEA watch.
Mm.
Fucking Redline, who was supposed to be on the show, I feel like has dodged me, and I say this fully knowing that I have sent maybe a message, and then they have said, "Oh, I can't that week. Maybe this," and then I never responded. But
Mm.
it does feel like it is
But I
Redline's
feel
fault.
that is that not the definition of dodging?
Yes.
That is truly a justified thing to be outraged over.
Yes, we have the IKEA watch. I think looming. It will have to
Mm.
happen very soon. If it, because I feel like if it ends up being one of the last things, it's just not gonna happen.
Mm.
Because
Well,
then if we miss it, then it's fucked. So we
yeah,
have
but
to
yeah,
sort of get on that.
yeah, but I feel like, the looming IKEA watch kind of, adds a sense of tension
Dread.
and yeah, like I was gonna say tension and peril to the entire project. So it might, like, imagine if we had done the IKEA watch already.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, then these last watches would just be like, okay, I guess Japanese dub, whoever as a guest, live watched, and then what? You
Yeah.
know.
I'm trying to remember what we have left here. We have IKEA. We have behind the scenes with Marcus. Uh,
Oh, we have the
no, we have second commentary with Marcus.
no. The speaking of Marcus, we got the cinema.
Oh yeah, we have the cinema as well. Yeah. We'll
I
see
feel
what happens with that. We'll have
I
to
feel
get
I
on
feel
that.
like I feel like that's way more important than the IKEA watch if it comes down to things like that.
I don't think so. I think at
Well,
this point the IKEA watch has been cemented so rigorously by both of us.
well, we can agree to disagree on that
Yeah, but
point.
those things don't hinge on each other, so it doesn't matter. Um, I think Anna wants to be the return of Anna. I feel like she wants to be very very late, which makes sense because he was the first
Mm.
guest. So being the last guest would also sort of make sense.
The alpha and the omega.
Yes, and with that, would you recommend people watch The Scorpion King on VHS with text by Sara Svensson?
I already said yes, but no.